Hi! I wanted to cover a few free mods for FS2020. These need to be installed in your community folder. I cover how to find that folder in my liveries video, which I've linked to in the description of this video. All you have to do to add or remove any of these mods is copy to or delete them from that folder. Alternatively, you can use the free ModManFX utility that will allow you to manage your add-ins in a more organized and automated fashion. I've linked to it in the description of this video. Speaking of liveries, I wanted to mention that the free version 8 of the Liveries Mega Pack over at MSFS Add-ons is up to over 300 liveries now, covering over 14 aircraft. It's linked in the description along with a utility to help you manage your liveries so you don't have to install the more than 300 included in the Mega Pack. As you may or may not have noticed, there are some locations in FS2020 that are a bit lacking in terms of how they're presented in the application. For example, when I first installed FS2020, I wanted to check out Disneyland Paris, and this is what greeted me there. And then on to the amazing walled city of St. Malo, and this is what I saw. Due to the diligent efforts of modders, both of these can be improved using mods. All of these mods that are demonstrated in this video are linked in the description. These are my top 7 that I've found, and they're all free. As you use mods and add new ones, don't be surprised if you find some that flat out just don't work. Some mods I've tried have hung my machine and necessitated a complete reboot. The ones I'm demonstrating here obviously did not have that effect. Also, free mods tend to vary wildly in quality, and the set I'll present here is no exception. One of them clocks in at 2.5 gigabytes, while another comes in at just 110 kilobytes. I'll apologize up front about my frame rates in some of the clips. My machine is just not powerful enough to run some of these mods while I record the screen for these videos. These are all running at about 30 to 40 FPS unless I record, and then I lose about half of my FPS. With all of that out of the way, let's jump into this. First up is a free mod from Asobo themselves. It's a handcrafted version of the Paderborn-Lippstadt airport located in western Germany, about halfway between Cologne and Hanover. It's a smaller regional airport serving the cities of Paderborn to the east and Lippstadt to the west. You can find it in the Marketplace page on the main menu in the official content page within that screen. It should appear in the upper left, but if not, you can set a search filter to find it. Downloading it on my system took less than 10 minutes. This airport has a lot of nice detail in it, and unlike other airports and even those generated with photogrammetry, the interior of the control tower and terminal waiting areas have geometry modeled inside of them. All in all, a very nice mod. Next up is a region in Nevada in the US called Area 51. I actually debated whether or not to include this one as its improvements are pretty minimal, but it's an interesting area, so here goes. It's officially known as Homey Airport, or sometimes Groom Lake, for the salt flats that are adjacent to this military compound. It's also been referred to as Nellis Bombing and Gunnery Range. It started life as a pilot training base during World War II, and today it's a classified USAF facility. Following the war, the CIA used it for testing and development of the U-2 spy plane. It gained notoriety in 1989 when Bob Lazar claimed to have worked there and was contracted to work on captured alien technology. These claims inspired a slew of conspiracy theories and documentary films exploring these ideas about Area 51's purpose and use. The most recent example was the Facebook Storm Area 51 page that cropped up in July of 2019. It proposed that the general public storm the facility. It garnered over 1.5 million commitments to the proposed event that was scheduled for the following September 20th. An event that its author confirmed was proposed as a joke. FS2020 provides a cursory implementation of this area in the sim, but a free mod adds a tiny bit more detail to the area for you. This is what it looks like in the default configuration of the sim, and here it is after applying the mod. The difference isn't huge, but then this mod is only 110K in size. Next up is Disneyland Paris. Previously known as the Euro Disney Resort, this theme park was opened in April of 1992. It hosts over 14 million visitors per year. It's located at the eastern edge of the city of Paris. Paris is not currently one of the photogrammetry rendered cities in FS2020, so this mod gives the theme park some much needed help. As you can see here, before the mod is applied, the park is pretty undefined and lacking in detail. After adding the mod, we get a ton of new detail. There's so much new detail in this mod that it makes my frame rate take a huge dive. This is clearly one of the more standout mods, and I highly recommend it if this area is of interest to you. Our next mod updates the Kennedy Space Center Launch Complex in southern Florida. As you can see, without the mod, we do have the vehicle assembly building and a little bit of detail on the ground, but overall it's pretty Spartan. Moving over to the launch areas 39A and B, Area 39B has some kind of vertical structure with no real detail on it, and I've got to assume it's a launch gantry. Once we've added the mod into the sim, the vehicle assembly building has much more detail and even includes the flag and logo graphics found on the real thing. A very nice touch. Moving over to the launch areas, 39A now has a detailed launch pad and gantry, and the SpaceX vertical assembly building. Also, a rocket on the pad that looks to be a model of the SpaceX Ariane 5 launch vehicle. Moving over to launch area 39B, we have a nice detailed launch pad and gantry. Overall, a great mod. Next up is the capital and most populous city of Norway, Oslo. Like Paris, this is not a city that was rendered from photogrammetry, and as you can see, it looks pretty plain when we get right up to it, lacking in any real detail. After adding the Oslo mod, the city has a moderate upgrade in terms of the amount of detail that's included. I think that mods like this are a wonderful addition in the sim, filling in the gaps of the non-photogrammetry rendered locations in the world. Our penultimate mod is a mod for the city of Melbourne. Located at the southern end of the Australian continent, Melbourne is home to over 5 million people and is the most populous city in Australia. The version that's provided in the sim lacks a lot of detail, as you can see here. After adding in the mod, we can see that the amount of detail that this mod adds is just insane. I love the updates to the sports arena and notice that the boats are no longer underwater. There's so much detail in this mod, and it's the largest of the mods that I'm showing today, clocking in at over 2.5 gigabytes. It drives my FPS down to about 5. This one is highly recommended if your system can deal with it. It's not perfect though, as you can see there's a pretty nasty texture seam right here. But keep your eyes on the MS/FS add-ins website for updates, and I'm sure these issues will get fixed. Finally, we come to the amazing, beautiful French walled city of St. Malo. Located towards the eastern side of France, it was once home to pirates and smugglers. Today, over 80,000 French citizens call this amazing city their home. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this was a location I was particularly disappointed with, but this incredible mod comes to the rescue, and you can see what a beautiful upgrade it provides. I love all of the new detail that it adds and the amazing detail in the cathedral. This one's highly recommended. While I've technically covered the entitled 7 amazing mods for FS2020, I thought I'd include this bonus mod that adds an amazing rendition of the seminal Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, also known as the Guitar Hotel in Hollywood, Florida. As you can see by the provided version of the hotel, it completely omits the guitar portion of the hotel, and the overall detail level is pretty low. This mod really makes up the difference, adding in the guitar structure and a bunch of detail to this area to really spruce it up. I love the mirrored texture on the guitar that looks very similar to the real thing. This mod is highly recommended. I hope the modder community continues with these. Goodness knows Niagara Falls could use some help, along with the very large array of radio telescopes out in New Mexico. It should look like this, but it's actually just a two-dimensional tattoo image on the ground. You'll find links to all of these mods in the description, so be sure to check those out. Let me know in the comments if you found any cool mods for FS2020. If you didn't like this video, please hit the dislike, but if you liked it, please hit like, as that really lets me know if these videos are helpful to folks. Well, that's it for this video, and until the next video, take care.